Welcome to the DealerRefresh Roundtable, where we explore the hottest topics in automotive retail to help those in the industry take action, innovate, and improve. The DealerRefresh Roundtable, in the forums and on the lot.
Thanks to our sponsor, Cars.com. Whether consumers are shopping online or on the lot, Cars.com creates connections that fuel growth.
Welcome, everyone, to session number 3 of the DealerRefresh Roundtable, where we set out to explore the hottest, most important topics going on right now in auto retail in a way that is meaningful and useful for those in the industry to innovate and improve. Today is Wednesday, September 6th. I'm Ryan Gerardi, your host. Alongside with me is Jeff Kershner, founder of DealerRefresh. Jeff, welcome. Good to see you again.
Always.
So our guests today include Mike Morais from Open Road, president of Open Road Auto Group. Mike, thanks for taking the time to be here and welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ryan. Thanks for having me.
And also we have my longtime friend, Jeff Clark, friends with all three of us here, Chief Sales Officer with DealerOn. Jeff, welcome to the show, and I appreciate you coming on and also for introducing us to Michael.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Glad to be here.
The Roundtable is a 30-minute program where we will discuss a set of predetermined subjects in a panel-like structure using this webinar format where each panelist participates via video conference, as you can see. The DealerRefresh Roundtable is sponsored exclusively by Cars.com. So today we are exploring 2 subjects, Hurricane Harvey and its effects on auto retail, and then we'll focusing on growing market share specifically through fixed ops. So gentlemen, let's get started. Harvey was the first major hurricane to make landfall in the US since Wilma in 2005, believe it or not, ending a record 12-year period with no major hurricanes making landfall in the country. In a 4-day period, many areas received more than 40 inches of rain as the system meandered over eastern Texas and adjacent waters, causing catastrophic flooding. Resulting floods inundated hundreds of thousands of homes, displaced more than 30,000 or more people, and prompted more than 17,000 rescues. Now, according to a recent Auto News report, Mitchell Dale, co-owner of McRee Ford in Dickinson, Texas, just south of Houston, experienced a total loss of inventory from flooding. On the Monday following the storm, he had to get back to his dealership by boat to finish assessing the damage. Now, the NADA Foundation has mobilized the Emergency Relief Fund to assist dealership employees impacted by personal property damage caused by the storm. The foundation is calling on dealers and dealer association groups to donate online to the relief fund. Spokesman Jonathan Clegio said the association is still assessing the breadth of damage, but estimates somewhere between 30 and 35,000 dealership employees in the Houston area are likely to be affected. Now, last week on Refresh Friday, we had Jack Behar from Interactive Tel join us live from Houston, sharing his observations and insights from the disaster. I'm going to play a quick soundbite from that broadcast so you can hear about it directly from Jack.
But this is a storm that nobody prepared for. We're talking about somewhere between a third of all of Houston lost their homes, their cars, shirts off their back. I mean, people just walked out and got rescued just with what they could put in a bag. And what the most amazing thing is, you can drive down a perfectly dry road, make a turn, and be faced with 12 to 14 feet of water.
Wow.
There are streets where a couple of car dealers have their stores. The water is over the lamp posts, because there's nowhere for the water to go.
Today we have Jeff Clark from DealerOn, who's going to tell us about a special initiative that DealerOn is spearheading with Dealers United and the Cause Network Foundation. So Jeff, thanks again for joining us, and tell us about what you have going on.
Absolutely, Ryan. Thanks. And thanks to the listeners. First of all, Jack Behar is a close personal friend of mine. I've been in contact with Jack ever since the storm hit and the days following. And we were so moved and touched here at DealerOn at what we saw from not only the retail automotive dealers, but the community as a whole in South Texas and the surrounding areas, that we mobilized our efforts, and in a partnership with Dealers United and our good friends over at the Cause Network, wanted to get tools and resources out to the automotive retail community. Mike Morais, who's fortunate enough to be on the call with us and has become a good friend of mine, and getting to know retail dealers, both large and small, they are probably one of the most giving and philanthropic of retailers anywhere. the causes that they give to, from local sports charities to food banks to the American Red Cross, to a number of very worthwhile charities. We don't do a very good job of engaging our consumers in that and giving more tools to the retail body to do so. You can go to dealersunited.com/cause, or you can go to myridemycause.org to get additional information and sign up and learn not only how you can focus on a particular charity, but how you can open it up to your consumers where they can make choices. So if you go to DealerOn, if you click on the blog section, you'll see a blog post that I did recently that really talks about not only the devastation of South Texas, but really tools and resources at the fingertips of dealers that don't cost the retail dealer a dime, but can yet help them get the word out, raise money, raise awareness, and really create what you'll hear about soon at Digital Dealer with my good friend Ryan Leslie about cause marketing and how paying it forward can really help. So
good. So you guys are out pushing this and with your message, and that leads folks to this sign up page here. Aside from filling out the form, what should dealers expect? What will they be looking to accomplish by going this route with you?
They'll actually get a call from the folks over at the Cause Network. And what the dealers need to be prepared to do is answer the simple questions, or what are the charities that are close and near and dear to your heart? I think a lot like retail shoppers, you don't want to give a consumer too many choices. So I think if you can select a charity or two that's important, this is also one of those ways that you can get your employees involved. If you allow people to have a voice and express, why a particular charity is important to them, the Cause Network folks will reach out to you, help you establish a landing page. They'll actually even help you create an app. And again, all of this is absolutely free of charge. The largest portion of contributions go to these charities. There's not heavy administrative fees. There is no cost to it. There is a vehicle donation program. I'll touch on that real quickly. Last year in America, almost 800,000 vehicles were donated for charitable causes. The issue exists that less than 1% of charities are capable of accepting a vehicle for donation.
That's a big number. You say 800,000.
800,000 vehicles were donated in America last year for charitable causes. And again, less than 1% of charities have the ability to accept a vehicle. So think about this for just a second. I show up in your dealership and I've got a wholesale unit. You don't know what to do with that thing. You don't really want to push it to the wholesaler. You're careful about the number you put on it.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm in a good position, why not offer up the suggestion, Mr. Clark, why don't you donate the vehicle? And by the way, our retail establishment will match your charitable contribution up to a certain amount. You don't want to take wholesale units in. You really don't. If you have to, you do to make a deal. But what if people had the ability to donate that vehicle? That is one of the largest contributions people can make. So we've had discussions with several of the major third-party players that think it's a great alternative versus a for sale by owner versus taking it to a dealership. So again, it empowers the dealer and gives them options.
Now, you said earlier around dealerships having the ability or allowing the consumer to choose from, different charities. What's the benefit? And obviously, you could say, hey, lots of different people out there have different charities that they would like to give to. Is there a magic number, or do you just go into it as dealerships saying, hey, I'd like to offer at least 5 to 6 charities that our consumers can donate to, that the dealership's going to, in essence, donate to? And what about local charities? Is that something, you've got our big charities, Red Cross, but what about some of your smaller local charities? How are they able to become involved as well?
They are, as long as you have a 501c3 status, so you have a tax exempt status, and there's more than 1 million of those. And frankly, I love the local church, the local community, the local food banks. I know Mike Morais and his team give greatly to some of the local food banks. It really is about the local community. And anytime we can connect with the local community, that's what's going to drive. Look, these national charities are wonderful, right? And God knows they need the support, but they have a national footprint where when you look at some of these smaller churches, synagogues, parishes, food banks, they don't have the resources. They don't have the technical talents, the marketing skills that companies like ours have. And we can reach out and give them a toolbox or a tool set, if you will, to drive awareness. And that's really where you're connecting and giving back to the local community. Once you start to give, of all people, Jeff, how good it feels to give and to give back. And once you create that, now you have an environment of paying it forward that just gets everybody in a good mood and a good spirit. And it's not so much anymore about you just being a retail car dealer. It's about being a member and a pillar of the community. So I think it's a wonderful thing. I can't say enough great things about the Cause Network and our friends at Dealers United, and certainly you guys for getting the word out there.
Now, Mike, speaking of charity events, and we spoke earlier, and you said something about how you guys sort of got off from the ground with, I believe it was Blue Cross, open up the floor to you. So what do you have going on, Mike?
My medical was Blue Cross, but we're actually shifting to American Red
Wrong
Cross.
color.
But in New Jersey, Blue Cross Blue Shield is a very powerful health insurance. But no, we to Jeff's point earlier, and Jeff and DealerOn have become our new partner for all our websites, and also the Dealers United site is fantastic. And this is something that allows us to Jeff's point earlier. It's very difficult to say to a customer, there's a few billboards out there that advise customers to donate their car to charity, but really it's hard for us to facilitate that. And to Jeff's point, we're on the front lines. A $200 car, a car has really got almost zero value to us. And we can't represent the car with 200,000 miles. And it's a, 14, 15-year-old car with many body panel issues. How do we facilitate that car getting wholesaled and donated by the customer rather than just wholesaled? And we can actually walk the customer straight through that process, which is really going to help us on the front lines to have a venue like that. So on our end at Open Road, we are committed to the American Red Cross. We've actually launched a campaign for to help the victims of Hurricane Harvey. About 6 years ago, up here in the tri-state in New Jersey, predominantly, we were struck by Sandy, and it shut us down. We were out mostly. What people don't realize is when the floodwaters all go away, you're still out of power, you're still out of fuel, they're out of so many resources, and people have been out of work. So we want to do our part as well, and certainly help this team. But there's so much on that Dealers United site for so many different causes. Pick a cause that's near and dear to your employees. Subaru gave us one. It's usually the ASPCA, which is a good one. And my son has type 1 diabetes, so we've given to JDRF, Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, for many years. That's near and dear to our family and our dealership cause. So it's great for the customers to come in. They can actually pick it on an interactive board and make their donation selection every year with Subaru. It's a fantastic platform.
Mike, thank you. Jeff, thank you. Why don't we go ahead and segue into our second topic, which is really around growing market share and specifically the role that fixed ops plays. In 2015, as we know, we hit about 17.5 million new vehicles sold in the U.S., which at the time was the highest on record since 2000. And then in 2016, that was effectively repeated, but forecasts show that we may or may not cross that 17 million mark for 2017. I think we will, but we're not going to have a record year. That's not unexpected. And I think most people wouldn't argue that. But in a 2016 article on DealerRefresh by Steve Stauning titled Marketshare, Why Your Record Year Might Be a Bad Thing, Steve points out this. He says, relatively few dealerships grew market share in 2015. Most actually lost market share. And the problem is those dealers who lost market share while having a record year are oblivious to the dangers that lie ahead. So Mike, my question to you is, in regards to that statement, do you agree that there's dangers that lie ahead? And if so, what are they, and are we seeing them now?
When you and I spoke earlier, Ryan, at first I said there absolutely is no way there's a possible danger to growing market share. Growing market share in any field is great. But to your point, and what the point I think of the article is, hey, look, we are looking at a massive increase in customers coming to the market. So is market share not necessarily the gauge? It is if you're saying, hey, look, we're up 15, 20% prior year. But now, where are we in the future when now we're going to drop to maybe a little under 17 million SAR? Okay. But are you looking at outside avenues for this? Are you looking at your diversity in not just the brands you sell, but in the services you offer to the customers? Like, are you doing other things to all makes and model cars, not just if you're hypothetically a Honda dealer or a BMW dealer? Do you just sell to them, or are you servicing other makes and models for future market growth? Are you looking at other services you provide, like body shop, rental car business, which we just jumped onto with Volkswagen. So now when you go to Open Road Volkswagen in Manhattan, which again, we have the Manhattan dealership, there's two things you don't want in Manhattan. You don't want to have to pay for parking, and you don't want to sit in traffic. So people choose to actually be shuttled to work rather than take a loaner car, which is much more of of a customer want in the New Jersey and the suburban markets. In Manhattan, they want to be shuttled to work. They want their car ready when they're shuttled back. They'll even get to us on their own. What we did find is there is a little bit of an opportunity for the weekend warrior to go out, rent a car from us, which we put our loaner cars to use. So there are ways to diversify yourself. Think outside the box on the services you offer. And you know what? Market share is great. You increased it. However, if you didn't increase market share, but you did have great numbers year over year, you better start thinking that this is going to have a whiplash effect as the decrease starts to set, like it did in 2010. There was a bit of a whiplash effect, and all of a sudden it was our service and parts departments. They felt it right around 2012 and 2013. So as dealers, we had to come out bigger and better on what we offered.
What's wrong with today's picture regarding dealers' profit and their marketing?
Well, Ryan, it's lopsided, and Mike can probably speak to this better than any of us. There's a responsibility that's shared on the vendor side of the automotive space. Rarely will you see a sales rep walk into a dealership and introduce themselves and say, hey, I'm here to help you grow your business. I'm here to help you sell more cars. We're selling the cars, we're just not servicing them. I recently spent a tour with the wonderful folks at Toyota down in the Southeast region. And it's interesting to be in a room full of dealer principals and GMs and service directors. And I asked some very core, simple questions, right? Do you have tire content on your website? Do you have a configurator on your website? Do you have part specials? Do you have service specials? Do you have landing pages that explain what that service is? Do your consumers understand that you use factory trained technicians and OEM parts? All of those things are important, but we don't convey that to the consumer. One of the greatest examples I use is I'm a sucker for Costco. I love that place. But what I watch is people can't beat feet fast enough back to the tire department to put a set of tires on their vehicle. Last time I checked, Costco tire installers aren't factory trained ASE certified mechanic. But what's the one service that's absolutely critical to do to a vehicle when you put tires on it?
The alignment.
You got to align it, right, Mike?
And balance it.
You got to balance it. You got to align it. And you know what? They're not doing two-wheel or four-wheel alignments. So you just spent a ton of money on tires on your minivan or on your vehicle. You loaded it full of all your Costco purchases, and you go ripping down the highway. You don't know if you got a bent tie rod in, a leaking strut. You don't know if you got suspension damage because the guy who just put tires on your vehicle doesn't know what any of that means. No one can service your vehicle better than your retail dealer. But we as an industry do a terrible job of supplying content and giving compelling calls to actions and making it easy. And when they turn and they look at the STS or they look at the Pep Boys or they look at the service centers, they're seeing a plethora of content specials. It's organized. It's almost like an Amazon of service right at your fingertips. And I think as retail dealers, we know that more than 50% of our profit comes from our service department. We know that. Yet we pay very little attention and give them very little resources. All of these service centers have a major jump on us when it comes to digital assets. So it's really about taking a slow and programmatic approach, focus on one area, be it fluids or be it suspensions or tires, build that up to where you're comfortable with it, and then move on to the next section. But if we don't start building content and start taking these independent national franchises head on, we are going to lose our businesses.
When you look at the Costco price for tires, they're significantly less than the dealership pricing. Sometimes we're our own worst enemy. And
Right.
Other dealers have to start to go to their parts manager and come down on that price, get the customer in on the tire. And again, you get the alignment sale, you get the balance sale, you get to wash and vacuum the car, you get to show the customer how great we are. Those are the things that aren't done at Pep Boys. They're not done at STS. You know what? We are using them we are conquesting them right now in our pay-per-click campaign. Someone types in AAA. You know what? They obviously need service. Because I don't know anybody that puts AAA into their Google search that wants, to see a map of Idaho. They're going in there which they do offer a map of Idaho.
Right.
Do that once. They can give you the best road maps are on AAA. By the way. I've never seen anything like it. But if you go on there and you're conquesting, you got to have a pay-per-click campaign that conquests the third-party service and parts. You have to. If you're not doing that, to your point, you are dying. And that's part of that article that to Ryan's point earlier. You've got to invest resources, and you've got to take that opportunity. You've got a whole new group of car owners.
What are some quick areas that a dealership could make some changes from a content standpoint or even a marketing standpoint to help drive that service.
Well, Jeff, I'm going to jump on and give you one great plug. We've been working with DealerOn on the conversion of all of our websites. And the biggest thing they've helped us with is video content. Let the customer see into the service and parts department, meet the people that's going to work on their car, personalize the experience, at work, in their bay, working on your car. To Jeff's point, let them know they're factory trained, holding up their certificate saying, hey, I'm a factory trained and certified master technician. We're proud of them. We're promoting them. And that's part of the campaign. But a lot of that is just free. Going on your own Facebook site and putting those texts when they graduate, when they get their test taken and they're above 85% and they get their certificate from the OEM, put it on your Facebook, get the social campaign out there.
I am so passionate about this. And, it's funny. So we'll stick down the tire lane for just a second. Tires are the single largest point of defection of any consumer. If you think about it, most warranties are 336. The typical passenger tire starts to get thin between 36 and 50,000 miles. If we can at least be in the ballpark competitive wise, we now have them in. We can now do the alignment. We can now show them a good, better, best. We can now talk about the cabin air filter. We can talk about the importance. We can look at maybe giving them an extended warranty. And they're paying you to come to your facility for your factory trained technicians and your OEM parts. Oh, and by the way, they want to see your inventory. And we just make it difficult. And I think the more that we can break down those barriers, the more that we can provide value, not only will they buy our products and come back time and time again, but the probability of them buying their next or new or used vehicle from us increases dramatically.
Jeff, thank you. Michael, 30 seconds. Any final words?
To everybody that's out there, this is Dealers United. Dealers United is a fantastic venue to donate to the victims of Harvey. And we'll be there. So thank you so much, Ryan and Jeff and my buddy Jeff Clark. I appreciate everything. And thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us, Mike. And Jeff Clark, thank you as well. We're going to call it a wrap, folks. Thank you, everyone, for watching this edition of the DealerRefresh Roundtable, session number 3, sponsored by Cars.com. We'll be back Thursday, October 5th with our 4th session. And until then, we're signing off and have a great afternoon, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks to our sponsor, Cars.com. Visit dealers.cars.com or follow @DealerAdvantage to get insights and information to fuel your growth.